I'm Ilya Marchenko.
I'm Dennis Kudla.
I'm Jesper de Jong.
I'm Henry Laakson.
I am Francisco Cerundolo,
and you are listening to the Game to Love podcast.
Hey, welcome back, tennis fans. Here we are. It is the final of Roland Garros. We finally made it there, and it is Casper Ruud and Rafael Nadal, the master versus the apprentice. It is the two players. I don't know. We knew one of them could possibly be there, but Casper Ruud, he's been knocking on the door, it seems, for the past few years, and now the draw finally opened up for him, and now he's getting his just desserts. He went to the Rafa Nadal Academy, for crying out loud, and now he meets his maker, so to speak. JG, it's exciting, this one, mate.
I mean, I cannot wait. I'm thrilled. We're here again. You may want to just turn your mic on, mate, but it is a massive one. Rafael Nadal into another final. It's a Grand Slam final at Roland Garros. He's won 13 of these before. He holds a record of 111 victories. Wikipedia haven't even updated it yet. They're still on 105. And there's only 3 losses in there. So this guy is absolutely formidable at this event. And he's coming in against a guy who, for me, without being disrespectful, is like the B-Tech version of Rafael Nadal. I think he's great. I think he's amazing. Arguably one of the best players in the last few years on the clay courts, consistently week in, week out, wherever he goes, whatever clay event it is, he's winning them. He's so, so good. But he, just for me, models his game on Rafael Nadal. We know he's got the big forehand. He generates a lot of top spin in his shots. He went to the Rafael Nadal Academy. He's a big fan of Rafael Nadal. And it just seems to me that ultimately he is trying to emulate his star is like legend, the guy who looks up to in Rafael Nadal, and I think he's gonna find it really tough.
There he is. Well, there's the two faces, and looking angry there, Rafael Nadal, it has to be said. He looks like he's raring to go, looking to get number 14. Casper Ruud giving him a little sly wink there. Does he know something that Rafa doesn't going into this final? The pressure isn't going to be on Casper Ruud, that's for sure, in this final. All the pressure is going to be heaped onto the man trying to make 22 Grand Slams. 2 in front of Djokovic he'll be if he wins this one. And Casper Ruud, he's only in his first Grand Slam final. He doesn't even have one to his name, doesn't even have a final to his name. And he's coming up against the guy with the most in his first ever attempt, and well, somebody he looks up to more than anyone on the tennis tour.
Yeah, one thing I would say though, and maybe this is a good place to start, and that's talking about their route to this stage. And before we go into the exact match by match, one thing I would say is Rafael Nadal, specifically in the last one against Zverev and Felix, them two I want to sort of target, hasn't looked that good. There's been large spells where he's not really been himself. It's not vintage Rafa. There's a lot of unforced errors. He doesn't seem to be that aggressive. Not finding many winners. And it's not really been a very good version of himself. I mean, let's look at that second set against Zverev. It was just endless errors. He just got broken every time he served. It wasn't very good at all. And probably, if you look at the whole picture of it in terms of the whole 3 hours, I know they didn't get the second set, wasn't even finished. But Zverev, for me, if you look at the overall picture, probably played the better tennis. One thing I would say, though, and what Rafa Nadal did show, is in that tiebreak, specifically when he was 6-2 down, we saw the greatest version of him. And we saw the passing shots. We saw every possible great shot you could get from Rafael Nadal. He had the drop shots. The serving was very solid. I remember he pulled out some aces when he really needed to as well.
Yes.
And there was spells in that first set and obviously the second set as well, where he showed absolute brilliance and grit and determination. But it's not been consistent at all. And if you look at the other side of the net, Casper Ruud, he has been consistent. Mr. Consistent, in fact. He's consistently played this whole event extremely good. You can go through every single Casper Ruud match and make a case for him being a very solid player in every single one. The only one which I thought was a bit rough was Tsonga at the start.
Sonego, maybe?
And Sonego, yeah. Sonego's another one. I didn't watch that match, so I can't really recall, but I was surprised he went to 5. Apart from that, he's been very good. I mean, against Marin Cilic, it was an incredible performance after losing the first set. Holger Rune, we covered that on the podcast. He looked always the better player. Hurkacz as well, who hadn't dropped a set. I don't think he'd even been broken until he played Casper Ruud. So he's been the Mr. Consistent this whole tournament, and he's playing extremely well. So it's a weird match where you're coming into this one and you're looking at Casper Ruud as if he plays at that high consistent level and Nadal does drop off, are we going to see a very close match?
Well, this is the thing. It's the fear of the unknown because they've never played before. Remember, it's always difficult to adjust to somebody who you've never played. And he may have come through the Rafa Nadal Academy, but it doesn't mean that he knows every trick that's coming up his sleeve. And it doesn't mean he's taught him everything that he knows either. Casper Ruud is the only player, I believe, on the men's tour that has a greater, rotation topspin than Rafael Nadal himself. So it's going to be interesting. For me, this tournament, you've hit the nail on the head, more consistent. Casper Ruud is hitting the ball very, very well, and he looks confident as well. That would be one thing that I'd note for Casper Ruud. We've always said he's been looking good the past year and a half, and going deeper in Masters events, that type of thing. It was just a matter of time. When is he going to go deep at Roland Garros? I mean, that was the main one. We didn't really say, when's he going to go deep at the other slams? I think he could, maybe in the future. But Roland Garros is the one because everyone was saying, well, team's out the way, and he was supposed to be the next in line. Then Casper Ruud sort of we were sort of bypassing Tsitsipas a little bit before he got to the final last year. It was sort of Casper Ruud was the guy. He was the clay courter, the Rafa Nadal Academy man. I think people are underestimating Casper Ruud before this final, and do it at your own peril because he's got nothing to lose in this final. He can come in, he can just play like this is a training event for him because no one's probably going to be cheering for him to win, only the people from Norway. And it's just going to be the whole stands hoping for other than Novak fans, hoping for Rafa 22. That's it.
Yeah, now let's look at the route. So Jamie Drummer's asking, has Ruud played anybody inside the top 10? And going through it, I mean, his route has been a lot better than Rafa's.
Yeah.
We've got Tsonga, Ruud, Sonego, Hubert Hurkacz, who I believe is inside the top 10 at the moment.
13, so just outside.
Holger Rune and Marin Cilic. So the highest seed would have been Hurkacz. He's not played anyone really of note. And no disrespect to them. Of course, they're all really good players, but it's not for me the same level as what Rafa's had to face. Let's be honest. You look at Rafa's draw, it's been ridiculous. Jordan Thompson, Mutek, granted, they're not the toughest. But after that, it's been ridiculous. Van der Zandsler, quarterfinalist last year at the US Open. Quality player. We know what he can do. He looked very good against Rafa as well. Felix, Djokovic, and Zverev. So you can't say he's not had to do it the hard way here. Rafael Nadal's had to play the very best to reach this final. He's not had any easy draw. And granted, he's not played well in a lot of these matches, or not. Maybe that's harsh saying not played well. We've seen some brilliance from him, but he's not been at his best. I would say against Djokovic for the first, one set and 4-love, he was at his very best. He was incredible. And he still overall played better than Novak Djokovic. And that was one of his more solid performances for sure. But this is a Grand Slam final. And my big thing for him is he's going to just step it up then. You know it. He's going to dig his teeth in. He's not going to let a Grand Slam final at Roland Garros just go by the wayside. Surely we're going to see no inconsistencies. He's going to be firing on all cylinders.
I can't really say.
It's like the previous 13. I mean, he's been to 13 other finals at Roland Garros and never lost one.
And that's the thing. If you want to defeat Rafa, you have to do it before the final. And that's what Djokovic even admitted to that himself. He said, if I'm going to meet Rafa, I'd rather meet him in the semis than in the final because I feel like I've got a better opportunity because Rafa's game in the final is another level. He goes up in another notch. There's another level of intensity, if you can believe it, from Rafael Nadal in a final. And, well, I saw how much he was. I was even surprised in that semi-final against Zverev because remember when it started off, I was thinking, oh, the roof's closed. We didn't really know what the conditions were like. John confirmed it was all sticky and stuff like that. The amount of sweat dripping off of Nadal after two games was ridiculous. How are you still supposed to even? We saw with Zverev, he lost his racket at one point. It flew out his hand. Nadal's sweating more than him, and he still managed to somehow dig in and produce. I have no idea how he produced some of those winners in that match against Zverev in that tiebreak. It's just almost like it was just come from another dimension.
I mean, I was watching the one at 6-4 today.
That one's the best one.
It was just remarkable. I mean, I highly recommend watching the highlights if you haven't already. I'm sure most of you have. Let's go to the comments because we get some really good ones in. Jamie in saying the Dow will equal Federer's 2017 Australian Open record of beating 4 top 10 players to win a slam. That would be insane. And I think that highlights how tough his draw's been. Yeah. Sam's in saying an amazing stat is RUUD has hit 250 winners and 130 unforced errors for 6 matches. Something like that, which is incredible.
I think he is an incredible player.
That is some good stats. We're going to go through these stats as well because we've got them all for the tournament.
You've got to remember that he's only 23 years old, Casper Ruud, as well. So there's a lot of people talking about your Tsitsipas's, your Zverevs, and all of these people. But now he's sort of in the picture. He sort of knocked on the door last year and said, oh, look, I've won a load of tournaments in a row. And everyone's like, yeah, they're all 250s. And then, they're all on clay. Then he won a hard court one as well. Then he can actually look quite good in the World Tour finals as well. He wasn't like a fish out of water there either. And that was on indoor hard. So he's improving all the time. And that's why I can't emphasize enough how difficult it is to play somebody you've never played before. Because Rafa, most of the time, he's played most people and he beats them quite comfortably. To play someone for the first time and play them in a final, there's an air of just like uncertainty because you don't know what you're going to get. Like Casper Ruud might come in and offer up something he's not seen before. Like the topspin might be more than he's seen before.
The problem is, I don't want to keep saying he's a B-Tech Rafa, but he is just trying to emulate Rafa Nadal. I mean, I look at Casper Ruud and he is just a lesser version of Rafa. And I feel surely the two styles together, I don't think it helps Ruud in any way.
Like I mean,
if Rafa could pick a player to play, he would want to play someone like that. So I don't think that's really going to play a factor that he's not played him before. But I don't know. What do I know? And maybe it does. And maybe you've hit the nail on the head. But let's go through some of the tweets because we have quite a few to go through. Where I want to start first is where it all began, Ben. Where it all began. On this day, 2005, Rafael Nadal beats Mariano Puerta in 4 sets to win his first Roland Garros. 17 years later, he is just 1 match away from winning his 14th title. And look at him there.
So young.
It is honestly... It's getting a bit annoying. Do you know what I mean? I'm bored of saying the same things. How many times do we say, it's incredible, it's brilliant, but for people,
How can you get bored of that?
I don't understand. I don't know how to put it into words, the magnitude of what this guy's doing. 17 years ago, I mean, we've got people in the draw who are 18 years old, 19-year-olds,
Yeah.
17, when they was like 1 or 2 years old, he was there winning Roland Garros. And this is what I'm saying. Casper Ruud was there watching him in the stands, winning all of these, in his events. And I think that is just something you really need to put into perspective, that he's been doing it for so long. And that's why, as much as it feels like he is coming to the end, and a lot of people are called in for it, saying this is going to maybe be his last ever Grand Slam. There's calls for that as well. Ben, as much as you say, he's been doing it for so long. If he was to wrap it up after this one, I mean, you'd have to just take your hat off and say fair play.
I would have said fair play if it was a year or two ago as well. You have to. He's achieved so much in the sport. And the fact that he even still went on to win another Australian Open was that if you'd have retired then, you'd have thought, wow, that was just amazing. What a way to go out, like coming back from 2-0 down to beat the best hardcourt player at the time, Medvedev. He wasn't expected to do it. And now, but then you can't stop because Roland Garros is just around the corner. So that's why he's here again. And where does he stop? Obviously, we know he's not going to play Wimbledon, but is that enough? Just he's like, oh, the foot feels good. Might as well just go for the US Open next. Is he going to do a Djokovic from last year? Is he going to win 3?
I just find it astonishing, man. And I think it's going to be very difficult for anyone to emulate what he's doing. In a final again, one of the best players in the world. The streak he had at the start of the year of Australia.
It's amazing.
It's just something which makes me emotional even talking about it. I mean, when he does retire, it's going to be a very sad day and a difficult one to come to terms with, but you'd have to respect him for everything he's been able to do. And it is honestly astonishing seeing all these numbers, and he's there again in a final with a man who come through his academy, which he started, I think that just makes it even more special. Just moving on to the next one. This is just some statistics for him. So since he's been at Roland Garros, he's 331 sets won and just the 34 sets lost. I mean, if that was just, obviously, it would be ridiculous if he won 300 matches. Put it into perspective of ratio. Say if you divide it all by 3. So say you got 110. I mean, that is ridiculous in itself if that was just win record. But his win record's actually even better than that. So he's currently won 111 matches and only lost 3.
That's just a ridiculous number, though, isn't it? I mean, 111. Put that into perspective. When it gets to 100 and you're into 3 figures and you've only lost, and you can count them on one hand, I can count them on 3 fingers. Don't even need a whole hand. I can have half of my hand and I can count them on.
I mean, you'd think you'd have some bad days. You know what I mean? Like, typically, as a professional player, you can't always be at your best. So out of them 111 matches he's won, he's not been at his best in all of them, but he still didn't need to, and he still was able to win. And I think that shows how great he is on the surface, how good he is at the tournament specifically. And it is just a very remarkable number.
He's up here. Everybody else fights to even get to like here, and he is all. It's like his worst is already better than most people's best, and that's the crazy thing for Rafa, because when he is his best, he doesn't drop a set the whole tournament, and he blitzes everybody. There's bagels, there's all sorts, and you see the best player in number 1 in the world getting bageled in the final, like Novak Djokovic had, and it's just. You don't really, it's hard to put it into words. Like that type of dominance on a surface is not really that normal.
No, but listen, I think a lot of the people who are listening to this understand it, to be honest.
Yeah.
What I find more difficult is explaining to friends and family. I don't know if people can relate to this, who don't understand tennis. And you explain to them what Rafael Nadal's done on sort of one cert. Like, it's very difficult to put it into terms to someone who doesn't understand the sport. I don't know if you've ever tried that. Have you ever told your mum about Rafael Nadal and all his record?
My mum's favorite is Rafael Nadal. So yeah, literally, like whenever I get, yeah, always since I was younger as well. Like she would say, I was always supporting Murray, and she'd be like, "Oh God, that Andy Murray. Oh God, he's always so miserable." It's like that Rafa Nadal seems like a really nice guy. Like I really like him. I'm like, oh, all right, Rafa seems to like do good like in people's eyes all the time. He's always like seems to be a nice guy, always very like funny on the mic and that. But Andy Murray's interviews obviously like, yeah, well, I had a bit of a terrible match there, and Rafa. I think that was. I was like, you can't just take it all on face value, Mum. Like it's
Well,
like some people.
The question I've got, Ben, when are we getting your mum on the podcast to talk about Rafa?
She doesn't watch any tennis. I'm not gonna lie.
She's
She's
a
just
Rafa
like
fan. We'll get her on if Rafa can win to celebrate.
Probably just likes the guns, to be honest. I reckon.
I told you. I think she just fancies him.
That's it. Why not? I think
Jamie's in with a super chat. Cheers. Sorry, Ben. Saying, Ben,
Cheers.
if Rafa does the Canada Slam, GOAT debate over, well, we don't think he's going to be playing Wimbledon, so I don't think that's likely.
Yeah, I don't see him playing Wimbledon. I think it's wise as well. As much as I hate to say it, because I just want to see Rafa at Wimbledon. It makes me sad that he might not come to England to perform again. That makes me really. Well, he might come for the Labour Cup. Yeah,
Labour Cup.
I mean, if he comes for that, it's great. I would love to see him at Wimbledon one more time. Don't think it's going to happen, but you've got to listen to his body, and his body says, "I love winning on clay, and I'm pretty good at the US Open, and I just won the Australian Open, so I probably just play those ones." So.
Yeah, unfortunately, his body does say some other things which aren't so good as well. And we're going to get onto that now. Next tweet.
Indeed.
So Nadal said, I would prefer to lose Sunday's final and get a new foot. I would be happy with my life with a new foot. Win is beautiful, but life is much more important than any title, especially after the career that I've had.
Yeah, I think that is very, very fitting. That is so true. Like Rafa has hit the nail on the head there. I think you cannot put that. Health is over everything. At the end of the day, when he finishes tennis, there's going to be a new breed of tennis fans. There's going to be still the people who are around now who still remember him. But for all the next generation, they might not even know who he is. Like he's just going to go.
I find it hard to know. I think everyone's going to always know who he is, but I know exactly what you mean. He's going to be no longer that hot prospect. Do you know what I mean?
It's going to be like somebody like some of the other greats, like Rod Laver comes to the slams, and then people might be like, "Oh, who's that old guy who's just like having photos of Rafa?" And like,
certainly, I agree. Certainly, the younger generation.
Yeah, so that's what it'll be like. So you've got to think. He's got to think about himself as well. So I understand that statement makes complete sense to me because he's struggled. He's even said it so many times. Most of the time when he's not even on court, he's limping around everywhere. Like, and that must just be real tough for him. We got to take the sport away from the person for a second and just look at him as a person only and think, if I was in his shoes, would I want to just be spending the rest of my life on, I'm not saying crutches, but it could get to that if he keeps on playing continuously at this ridiculous level that he can't play at a low level. He can only play at that level. So it's always at a detriment to his health. And I just hope he finds the right balance and knows when it's the right time to hang it up. That's all.
Yeah, one thing this does show is how serious the foot issue is. I mean, it does affect his everyday life. Yeah, some people say, why does he put himself through it? Why keep playing? What's the point of playing if you've got this degenerative foot problem? Because it doesn't necessarily mean, like, if he doesn't play, the foot still gets worse. He still has the foot problems. The foot problem's not just related to him playing tennis. He's got this issue, which he was born with. So it's a very difficult situation he's been put into. And I understand exactly what he means. I mean, he doesn't have necessarily a family. I know he's got, I'm not sure if is he with his wife? I think, they got married recently. But I don't think they've got kids or anything. No. So I'm sure he'd want to explore that and have a family and go down that route. And a big thing he did say in the press room as well is he wants to be able to play sports with his friends. And I don't think that's just tennis as well. We know he plays a bit of football. We know he's big on golf as well.
Imagine playing tennis with him as a friend. The worst. No, I'm doubles with Rafa. I've got him as my doubles partner. What? Again?
I've just been bageled again.
Oh, it would be hilarious.
Imagine he pulls some people out the pub. Oh, you fancy a game of tennis? And they're just there. I mean, even if he was 70 years old, I think he's just going to blitz
Imagine he's
you.
on the app. You go and meet him on the app. You're like, oh,
you just turn up and it's it's Rafa. That's all I needed. I wanted a light match today. But
So
no,
it's
yeah, it did make me laugh when I heard that. But I think what he was referring to more so was his golf.
Yeah,
He
definitely.
loves playing golf, and he's going to want to obviously keep doing that after he retires. And if he's going to keep making his foot worse, but keep playing, and then maybe it's the right time just to pack it all in, because the pain does seem very, it's difficult to manage, put it that way. He's got his doctor with him here at Roland Garros. That's the only way he's been able to get here. So he's had these cortisone injections in his foot potentially, and it's not something which is sustainable for a long term.
Yeah, that is the one thing that everyone has to remember as well, because it's the same thing. I know I always do the same comparisons all the time. They're like, oh, here he goes again. He's comparing it to fighting again. But there are a lot of comparisons that people don't realize, that everyone turns up to the grandstand. They're like, "Way, Rafa, yeah, look at him go. Look, he's with." Do you realize when he's not playing tennis tournaments, he's training probably hours a day. He's on physio beds probably hours a day. Literally, his life probably never stops from tennis while he's competing professionally. So, and this goes to the same. That's why I compare it to fighters, because when they go in the ring and then everyone's like, "Oh, he got knocked out," but like, he trained for 6 months for that fight. He's now out of action. He can't earn money, and he's like that. He's beat up. He's got a broken leg or something like that for the next 6 months. You've got to remember the toll this takes on players or fighters, whoever you are in sport. You got to think of what goes on behind the scenes, because these players, they might put on a brave face for everybody because they're strong mentally, but behind the scenes, there's a lot of other stuff going on that they're having to deal with. And it's like it's like day in, day out.
Yeah.
It never stops. And even if you're injured, you have even more stuff going on than one of these youngsters. Like Alcaraz probably is fine. He's probably like, "Wait, training, boom, boom, boom." Like, he's like, "Whoa, I'll go to have a quick sauna, physio, then I'm off to bed." Probably not the same for Rafa at all. Probably like the physio lasts probably 2 hours. They have to try and just warm him down properly. Like, it's so taxing on his body. You got to take that into consideration. Like, it's not just matches, it's training as well.
Yeah, and he trains harder than most. So
exactly,
you've definitely got to factor it in. Just want to go to the live chat. Shout out to Kojo for joining us. He's saying even Djokovic's son is a staunch supporter of Rafa. He adores Rafa.
It's very true.
I'm not sure if that's really real though, is it? I mean, no, Stefan did say that, but of course his dad's got to come first.
Jamie's saying bring the doctor to Wimbledon as well. Well, I just think that he's only going to play the more favorable slams for him now. Why would you put yourself through it? That's what you've got to remember now. You got to pick and choose which ones, because it's not going to last forever, and you'd rather have the better tournaments you're going to play right now. That's my personal opinion.
Yeah, and talking about it not lasting forever brings me lovely to my next tweet, Ben. Have you seen how these are all flowing on?
Segue.
So Gaspar Ribeiro Lanka, he says, I'll say it again. I have a feeling Rafa Nadal will say farewell to Roland Garros this Sunday.
No.
I mean, I've seen John Silk say something along the same lines as well. There's a lot of people in the media suggesting this is the end. I'm posing the question to you, Ben. Is this the end of Rafa Nadal at Roland Garros?
I don't think it is. I think that there's one more. Only one more, though.
Yeah.
I just feel that there's unfinished. There's part of me that if Djokovic wins Wimbledon, I don't know if he's going to be able to accept him being that close, and he'll want the buffer again. As long as, or if Djokovic levels, even more reason to just try and do it again.
He loves the sport so much.
Yeah.
I'm hoping there's one or two more in there, but I've slipped that 2 in just on the preview, just for you guys. But
I think one.
I hope so. That's all I can say.
I hope this one's. I can't. This can't be the last. Come on, don't do that to us, Rafa. What are you doing?
Yeah. Well, enough about Rafa's foot. Do we believe that's going to be a factor in this final? I don't think so.
I don't
I
think
don't
so.
think so. I think he's going to be heavily drugged. It's one last match. He's going to put everything into it. And I'm hoping he can get through. Touch wood. I don't think the foot's going to be a talking point. And this is what Nadal had to say about Casper Ruud. He said, Casper, I'm happy for him. I'm happy for his mum, dad. I know them very well. They are super healthy family and great people. As always, I am super happy when I see these great people having success.
Sounds like he's monitoring their diets as well, which is good. Super healthy family. No, just obviously things translate probably differently, I'm sure.
Yeah, I think he's happy. Is he happy with what Casper Ruud's parents eat or their gym routine?
Yeah, well, maybe both. Maybe they've been at the academy as well. They've all been down there. But yeah, you can imagine that they've probably been there from day one with Casper Ruud, and he's been the star pupil from the Rafa Nadal Academy, obviously. He must be proud, though. Do you not think Rafa setting up an academy and now he sort of meets one person who comes through his academy in Roland Garros final, somebody who is trying to emulate him, has now come through his training or his academy and now is meeting him. It's just incredible.
Yeah. And here we go. You can see a young Casper Ruud there. Looks a little bit like me as a kid. I mean, I look quite similar to that, funny enough.
Yeah.
He's probably a bit better looking.
Sure,
I was a bit of an ugly kid. No. So in 2013, 14-year-old Casper Ruud was watching Rafael Nadal from the stands of Roland Garros. Now, how many years later? I'm trying to do the maths. 9 years later, he's there playing in the final. I mean, what an incredible thing that is. I mean, I've been to a few tennis matches in my time and I've got photos after I've been with my dad. And I can't imagine what that feels like to be having a photo watching a player. It could have easily been Rafa for me as well. I watched him a few times, or Federer. And then to be playing them, just it must be so insane.
It must be crazy. I'm interested. Has he ever been like a hitting partner or anything like that of Rafa? There's part of me thinks that he must have at some point. If anybody knows, let me know.
I would be. I think he has hit with him. I'm sure at the academy from time to time. Yeah.
But it'd be interesting to know if they've ever had any practice sets or anything like that, because, or maybe their paths haven't crossed so much since Casper Ruud's. Bear in mind, since Casper Ruud's been doing this well, since he broke into the top 10 and been playing in this new sort of attacking, offensive, and very consistent. I think that was the main thing, is the consistency is the key. That's the main reason that we saw him and Cam Norrie as well get so high in the rankings last year. Consistency is key in tennis. And he just played great tennis all year. He was better than Cam Norrie for sure. And that's saying something, because Cam Norrie was right up there with the best players of the year. I think he's carried it on as well. That's the one thing that Cam Norrie sort of slipped up at the beginning of the year and he sort of turned it around a bit. Casper Ruud seems to be now he's just back on the clay, just doing his thing.
I mean, I really like him. I'm a big fan of Casper Ruud. There's no secrets about it. I remember when I was telling you about him in work before the podcast began.
That's it,
a player I've liked for some time, probably because of the Rafa Nadal Academy stuff as well, probably how I got to know about him first. And then we've got Habdog in saying, I just saw an interview. They've played practice sets, apparently. And Sam saying the Academy posted a video today of them playing. So that's to answer your question on that.
Nice one. I like the sound of that. Yeah, I got so big on him that I had him beating Federer. That was a bit too big, I think.
Yeah.
He lost.
I remember
Terrible.
that, actually. I was at work, wasn't
Straight sets.
Let's look at some of the media notes. Rafael Nadal, 36. If he is to win, he would be the oldest Roland Garros men's champion. He's 13 and love in Roland Garros finals, all 3 or 4 sets. So all of his finals are 3 or 4. I remember a 4-set one recently against Dominic Thiem. Most of them do go 3 though. And Casper Ruud, on the other hand, 23 years old, and he would be the youngest Grand Slam men's champion since Juan Martin del Potro at 20 years old. Of course, the US Open 2009.
Yeah, that's pretty. Well, it's 20 years old. That's that's impressive considering who you're up against as well in that era to win it at that young age.
Yeah.
Obviously, sad to see Del Potro retire recently, though. So
Tower of Tandil.
Tower of Tandil. Yeah, that is correct. Go check out the button that got retired.
Yeah, we've got a really good Del Potro button, actually.
Yeah, go check out GTL Shorts. It's at the bottom of our channel on the main page. The sad well, vocals that I
It's
produced.
actually one of my
for that
favourite buttons. I think it's a really good button, the Del Potro one.
Big man, big man.
Tower of Tandil.
That's it.
I mean, I
Man.
can't sing. I don't want to sing, but it's a really good button. We're going off topic big time.
Yeah, we
so,
are massively.
Casper Ruud, listen, what this highlights to me is that you don't really win a Grand Slam if you're young. Doesn't happen very often, does
You don't win a
it?
Roland Garros.
You don't win any
probably.
slam, mate, if you're young.
No.
Unless your
Not-
name's Emma Raducanu.
Or
Iga.
Yeah.
No, but on the women's, it's different. I'm talking about on the men's, it's very rare. I think Dominic Thiem is one of the youngest players to win one in recent years. Of course, Daniel Medvedev, I think, has changed that now. But
yeah.
when Thiem won his first one, he was one of the youngest. I'm sure Medvedev's replaced him as that.
Was he like 27 or something like that? Probably.
Yeah, it's around that sort of. I mean, it's very rare. Mate, listen, it's hard. Apart from obviously the big guys, you don't win it when you're young anymore. So that's another stat to go out of favour of poor Casper Ruud.
That'll change, I'm sure, once they've all retired. So, well, yeah. What's up next?
Next one's just a bit of a fact for you, Ben. Rafa Nadal Academy has won the 2022 French Open. This is something we can announce, and we've spoken about this. Uncle Tony, I'm sure he's very proud, and it's looking great. But it's a very good promo, isn't it, for the academy? I mean, I think they're going to have quite a few applicants next year somehow.
Probably there's a waiting list, I'm sure. I don't think you can just.
I'm not sure how it just works. I don't know if you can just apply. I mean, if I applied there tomorrow, I don't think it works, would it?
They probably go around to the best clubs, and they probably get the best people from all the best clubs around, but probably around the world. I don't think it's not just for Spain, for sure. There's just global talent driven into that school. And obviously, he's from Norway, so
yeah. Good stat as well here from Habdog, saying it used to be the opposite with Shang, Sampras 19, Agassi as well 20, but times have changed now, and it seems to be you need to be a bit older.
Yeah, Becker as well, who's the youngest Wimbledon champion. So
did a good news video on him, didn't you, the other day?
Yeah, it was good. I love talking about law and people getting arrested. It's my favourite.
Yeah.
Right, next one.
Moving on.
Ooh, that was interesting. Rafa Nadal is 8-1 against players trying to win their first career Grand Slam title. Casper Ruud will try to join Stan Wawrinka, who beat Nadal in 2014 in the Australian Open final, as the only players to win his first Grand Slam title against the Spaniard. Wow, well, Stan's a big name, so you'd have to be pretty big to emulate Stan Wawrinka.
I'm going to go as far to suggest this. If Casper Ruud just does what some were saying is the impossible and beats Rafael Nadal tomorrow, I think he's going to have a fantastic career, which is going to consist of multiple Grand Slams. I don't think it's going to be a one and done set situation. We see it often in tennis. They get a Grand Slam and it would be done. We know some of your favourites, I think, could be doing that, taking that path. But with Casper Ruud, I think if he is able to beat such a legend in such a big occasion, for me, he's showing minerals and a peak training way beyond his years. So I think he's going to be sort of 3, 4, 5 plus.
It could well happen. They could all be at Roland Garros as well.
Easily. In fact, let me just take the 3 and 4 out. 5 plus. I'm going to go that far because for me, if he's able to beat Rafa right now, this guy is a serious talent, and I think he's going to win 5 or more.
It's a tall order. Let's just put it that way. The guy who's never lost a Roland Garros final, if he's able to beat him, then you'd think he's done what Novak Djokovic couldn't do. He's done what Sasha Zverev couldn't do. Yeah, there's many other men have tried. Many have failed. Could he do it at the first attempt? It would be pretty ridiculous if it was actually to happen.
Imagine your first match ever against Rafael Nadal, Roland Garros final.
Yeah, I mean, you couldn't be a worse place to pick. Like, if you want to play Rafael Nadal, you don't want to play him in Roland Garros, full stop. Let alone
Not in the final. No. We've got Sam in. I have to read this out saying, JG, quick question. And don't you dare say no. Can we start the when I say bruh, you say fuh thing tomorrow? I mean, we'll do that a few times, Sam, if you want. If you like the video, well, I'll definitely do it.
Yeah, definitely. We like that one. Is anyone going to be doing it for Casper Ruud? When I say Ru, you say
do. No, it doesn't really work.
Nah, we'll leave that one.
So we're coming to the end here, Ben. It's pretty sad. I'm going to get rid of this one because this just is... Oh, we'll go through that in a sec, actually. But this is just their 2022 Roland Garros stats. And we've spoke about on previous podcasts. And I don't think everyone's really familiar with Casper Ruud's style and the way he plays. He's a big server. And some of his statistics of the last few years have been parallel with the big John Isner. I mean, John Isner eclipsed him slightly, but you could look at his stats and call him a bit of a serve bot at times. I mean, Casper Ruud has a very, very good serve. That's something which he will have over Rafael Nadal tomorrow.
It's interesting because you've been harping on about this.
I keep saying it, and I keep saying it, and now finally the stats are showing what I've been saying.
Well, isn't it interesting as well? Because I was watching the RUUD Cilic match, and Cilic obviously got through to the semi-finals due to great serving and knocking out Andre Rublev, but he comes up against Casper Ruud, and he sort of gets outserved by Casper Ruud, and Casper Ruud.
Listen, I'm glad it's proven me right. I've been trying to tell you, and you didn't believe me. I said Casper Ruud's a serve bot, and you laughed at me.
He's consistent. This is the thing. Consistency is key, and his serve is consistent. The same as his whole game. He's got a great forehand. He's got a solid backhand. What areas do you think that he's lacking? I don't think there's many. Like maybe some net play. I don't know. He doesn't come to the net as often as others, but I don't think it's that bad.
I don't know. I'm not sure what his
just
weaknesses
lacking a
really
bit
are.
of power, maybe. That's about all I could say. But you can't criticize him too much because he's very accurate with his shots.
Mate, he's got the game. He does have the game. I keep saying it though. It just seems to be a very similar game to Rafa's, and Rafa's is slightly better, quite a bit better, really. He's done it for many more years. But looking at these stats here. Ace-wise, this tournament, 52 for Ruud, 13 for Rafa. Double faults, 12 for Rafa, 8 for Casper Ruud. So it's looking great for Casper so far. Service games won. Look at that. 89% of his service games. Rafa, 80%. First serve, pretty much the same. First serve points won. He's winning more off his first serve. He's doing more damage. Second serve's the same. Break points saved. He's saving a lot more than Rafa. And this is one of the more troubling statistics. Rafael Nadal, for me, typically would be around 75% plus on saving break points. You could even make a case for 80% at Roland Garros or even higher if you want to. But around the 50% of saving break points is a really poor showing for him.
Yeah, that's not familiar to me when we're talking of Rafael Nadal. Like normally, if there's a break point to be had saved on his serve, he will save it. And if he does get broken, he normally breaks the opponent straight back. We've been seeing more of the break straight back, but not so much of the save in the breaks, which I don't know. But you can't really, I don't know. I judge every person recently on their recent matches. Obviously, we know he got broken numerous times in the Zverev match. He's a different player, Sasha Zverev to Casper Ruud. That's, goes without saying. Sasha Zverev, very powerful, very big, imposes his will on opponents. Rafa in that match, still, I know it wasn't break points, but he was down 6-2 in the first set tiebreak and did manage to do the impossible when it mattered. Just when you think that would be your most nervous time. Did you not think?
Yeah, that's what we don't see in numbers.
No.
Something you don't see in numbers with Rafa Nadal, which is bigger than all the statistics, is
Yeah.
that will and the fighting spirit of never ever giving up in these big pressure crunch moments. Say if we was to get some set points for Casper
Mm.
Ruud, I fancy Rafa to find another level. I mean, that doesn't you don't can't really see that in the stats. We can't
Yeah,
see what
yeah.
happened against Medvedev when he was 2 sets down and well, was it 3-2, love 40,
Yeah.
the 1% chance of winning, and he managed to come back. You don't see all of these signs. You know what I mean? You can't see it in the numbers. But let's look at what we can see. First is first serve. Casper Ruud has that. Average first serve speed. Ruud slightly faster. Second serve, pretty much the same. And these are just return points. One. I don't really want to go into them. Break points converted. Rafa's slightly better. Net points won. Pretty much identical.
Yeah, close.
Yeah, I think they come to the net pretty much the same as well. Rafa coming a little bit more.
Yeah, he likes it, the net rat. Well, we've seen some amazing volleying from Rafa in this tournament. I have to say, like how he takes the pace off of some of those balls, I don't even understand it. It doesn't even make sense to me. And the same goes for Djokovic. Did a great job of doing that against Rafa in their match as well. But I just feel that Rafa was just stronger on the baseline against Djokovic. And that's where normally the battle's won, I feel, between Nadal Djokovic. It is with those baseline rallies, and Rafa's just too strong. His net play, it's always normally up there. He misses the odd thing here and there. I mean, we saw him miss one really weird one in the last match, but it was all a bit herky-jerky, that match. We didn't really know which way it was going to go. It was like everybody's getting broken in the second set. We don't really...
It was all a bit who but her catch, wasn't it?
Yeah. Is this what it's going to be called? I don't know if he's going to like that. Brilliant
That's
stuff.
what I thought of when you said herky-jerky. I just thought of who but her catch.
He's a little bit. He is a little bit herky-jerky, though, isn't he? Hoobie her catch. He's a little bit rigid. Like there's a little bit of rigidity in Hoobie Hercatch's movements, but his volleying is exemplary. So I don't think we can say anything about Hercatch's volleying. He's one of the best. So
just some big news coming right now, Ben, and that is confirming the Rafa Wimbledon withdrawal story is fake, and Marca has withdrawn that story.
Oh, brilliant.
so they've withdrawn that. Cheers, Eddie, for letting us know they've pulled out in that. So we don't know if that's factually correct. Shout out to John Silk, who was covering that very well on the Silk Report the other day.
Yeah.
And this is the big stat I want to end with. So winners to unforced errors. Rafa, 204 winners, 166 unforced errors. Casper Ruud, 259 winners, 138. You can see the winner to unforced error ratio, which shows it there. Surely Ruud's going to demolish him, isn't he, in this final?
Definitely.
Stats
of course.
Don't lie, Ben.
Straight sets, probably. That's probably the way it'll go. Based upon those stats, it's hard to argue. I mean, they play pretty much the same opposition as well. So let's not take in their opponents into account.
So is that what you're putting it down to, these stats then, the opponents?
Well, they're definitely going to play a factor for sure. The winners and unforced errors are who you're playing. And Casper Ruud has been playing nowhere near the caliber of opposition that Rafa Nadal has been facing. So
let's move in down. So regardless of the result, Ruud's going to rise to a career high of number 6, which is great for him. And then the most ATP Tour match wins on clay, he's leading that by a long way. He's played a lot of events, granted, but he's won 66 matches on clay from 2020 onwards. Because he surpassed second, Schwartzman third, Djokovic and Ramos in fifth.
In there.
I mean, no Nadal, but I don't think he's played enough matches.
Ramos, though, look at him. He loves it. Come on,
talk about Casper Ruud. Does that surprise you, or you was expecting them to be there?
I don't know. He plays a lot of tour. This is the thing, though. How many tournaments are they all playing as well? Because it'd be interesting to see that. Obviously, he played all those tournaments and he won all those tournaments as well. So that's super impressive. And the one thing that he proved as well is he can play tournament after tournament after tournament, and he can still stay fit to keep on playing. So his fitness is never a problem. He doesn't seem to have any like niggling injuries, nothing lingering around. He just seems fresh, fit, consistent, ready for his first Grand Slam final. And no, I think it's come at the perfect time, to be honest. Like, he couldn't be in better shape.
Yeah. No, I agree. I think it is coming at a good time, and I'm really looking forward to it. Make sure you all join us tomorrow. We will be covering it. We're going to be on early as well, giving a preview of the match. So please make sure, go over to the video, hit the like button on it now. And of course, if you are just watching us, hit the subscribe button, hit the bell as well to know when we go live. But now we're getting into the biggest point of this video. It is the prediction time. Right. This is a big point. This is a really big one because often
Massive.
I take what you say as Bible, mate. I will run with this tomorrow, and I will not let you. I'll remember every single word you say. Once I've pressed that button, I'm gonna take your word as Bible. So over to you, Ben. How is tomorrow's Roland Garros final going to pan out between Casper Ruud and Rafael Nadal?
Right, JG. I've been mulling this over in my little noggin with my little brain cells.
You've been taking notes this year or not?
They've been bouncing around off of each other based upon their tournaments. Oh, no, the tournament, their matches, their age, their win percentage, the consistency from both players. I think Rafa Nadal wins in 4 sets.
Oh, Rafa wins.
I think Casper Ruud can get a set in this final. That's still really good for him. I feel that it's either going to be the first or the second set, though. And then I think Rafa will probably take over in this one once the crowd are going to be rocking. It's going to be a cauldron in there, and I'm not sure if Casper Ruud's ready for what's about to happen. He's been in there. It doesn't mean he's been in there when Rafa's in there, and that's
he's been in there. Last time he was in there, he was screaming "Vamos." So I don't think he's going to be doing that this time. We've got Ashley asking, is John Silk going to be in the final? Yes, he will be. We're going to be getting a clip and hopefully something after the first set or second set. That'll be great to hear from John. He's going to be there. So Ben's prediction, Rafa in 4 with Casper winning either the first or second set.
Correct.
My one, I'm not going to beat around the bush. I'm going to go straight in with it. And that is Rafael Nadal is going to win this final tomorrow. And he's going to win it in straight sets. I don't think he's going to drop a set. I'm feeling very confident in his ability. And I think I wouldn't read too much into what we saw against Felix and Zverev. I think we're going to see a different match here against someone who plays quite similar to him. I think the styles are not going to favour Casper Ruud, and I think he's going to be in big trouble, personally. I feel he's been coached at the Rafa Nadal Academy. He's been coached as if he's Rafa, and he's not Rafa, and Rafa's going to just blitz him. But saying that, I don't think he is fully going to blitz him. We're going to get some close sets. I don't think they're going to be any sort of eager score lines. I'm talking maybe a 7-5, 7-5, 6-4, that kind of vibe.
Do you think that there's going to be
all business ends? I'm going for tomorrow.
Do you think at the Rafa Nadal Academy? I'm just being the devil's advocate here. At the Rafa Nadal Academy, they teach all of the people in the academy everything except a few small things they leave out, because just in case they face Rafa, and then he's like, you don't know the secret little ingredient. Down the line. Have that one.
Do you know what the secret ingredient is? It's something within. I can't explain it. Rafa has something special. he has something special, simply. Let's go to the live chat and hear what everyone else has to say. Indeed. Terry agrees with me, which is great. We've got MQR going RUUD wins in 4 sets. Jamie's going for the Thompson scoreline, which is 2-2 and 2. We've got Manuel in, going for a 6-4, 7-5, 6-3. Does anyone in the live chat think Casper Ruud?
We got MQR with RUUD in 4 sets there. That's a very brave prediction. Rafa losing his first ever Roland Garros final.
Well, it's a prediction, isn't it? I mean, it's valid. Anything goes. Rafa fans in. We expect to go Rafa. I'd be shocked if that said RUUD. Rafa in 3. We've got Jeremy saying Rafa in 4. Dog goes for what you're saying, Rafa in 4. Seems to be quite a popular one. Seems to be between what me and you have. I don't think anyone's calling 5 sets tomorrow.
I don't think it's going to go 5 sets tomorrow. That's my personal opinion. I just don't think there's any stopping Rafa. If you can get a set off Rafa, the only thing that I've said it already. I feel that when you haven't played somebody, there might be some sort of time to get used to the way that he plays, maybe in a match situation. Casper Ruud might be feeling super loose when he goes out there and be like, God, I'm playing freely, wins a set, but then Rafa imposes his will on people. And I feel that as soon as if he loses one set, that'll be enough for him. He'll crush him.
I don't know if this is certain, but apparently the roof is shut. And if that is the case, something we've not considered in this preview, a serve bot in Casper Ruud, is the serve going to be firing? I mean, it's going to help him a little bit. But ultimately, I'm not changing my prediction. I'm going Rafa on the Nadal in 3. And I think that does sum up our preview of the final. There's only one big thing left to say, and that is make sure you join us. Don't be late. You don't want to miss it. It could be history in the making. And I need to do this for John as well, because I said I would. And that is, let's go, Rafa. Let's get number 22. Come on. Please, we want 14 Roland Garros and 22 Grand Slams.
It's going to be exciting. No matter what happens tomorrow, we're going to either end up with history either side of the coin. Casper Ruud could win his first. Rafa could lose his first. Or Rafa can go 2 Grand Slams ahead of Novak Djokovic. And I think that's why most people are tuning in. Whether you're a Djokovic fan or a Nadal fan, you're invested in this final. That's for sure.
3 p.m. local time. Make sure you're there in the GTL stream. We'll see you. And, well, I guess the only thing left to say is good night. Make sure, like and subscribe, and see you tomorrow.
See you then, guys.